Okay, thanks for joining us again. So today we want to talk about the deadlift, a very popular exercise, but also one that's we find to be most often an injury producer, and not because the exercise in itself is bad, just because of the form. And people often have questions on how do I deadlift? I know I'm supposed to. It's a great exercise for the lower body. We're going to have Dr. Buka just come describe through how to set up and perform the deadlift while I go through it.
Okay, so deadlift here, it's similar to squat, but with deadlift you do want the feet just at shoulder width apart, especially if you're doing like a conventional deadlift, so you can get your hands on the outside of the bar. So you set up, it's almost like you're going into a squat type pattern. You want the bar real close to your shins, and back flat, so you don't. So when you go to squat pattern, you want that rear down a little bit, so you're actually working some of the posterior chain, so you're working the glutes, the hamstrings, even some of like the lumbar, paraspinals in the low back. And when you come up, you want to keep that bar as close as you can to your shin when you ascend. Keeping that close will keep the center of gravity close to you, and that'll even be less chance of an injury. If you get that bar away from you, the center of gravity is going to change. It's going to put more force through that low back. Yep. So you do that, yeah. So it's not you're not keeping it in we call it your power zone at that point. Chris, as you can see, well, except that one, he's keeping like a nice flat back with it as well. Yep. Yeah. So he's keeping a nice flat back when he comes up. Good cue is to kind of keep your eyes forward. I wouldn't say look up and hyperextend the neck, but make sure you're looking forward. Don't be looking down at the bar.
If you start to look down here, it's much more likely to round, I think.
Yep. Correct.
So at least chest and shoulders to the ball, and then pull up. And I like so shoulder blades back.
Yeah, and then and that can really accentuate kind of the extension on that, so you make sure you're not rounding in that lumbar and that low back, that lumbar spine when you're coming up.
Yeah, it's different.
And then grip, there's two different grips you can do. You can do what he had was just both hands over.
The
conventional overhand, or you can do a mixed grip where you have one over, one under. Just kind of gives you a little bit better base when you're gripping. If you have shoulder issues, sometimes one of these can cause maybe a little irritation in the shoulder. So just be cognizant of how you're gripping that. Anything else?
No, it looks good. I mean, the only other change would be some people do more of the wider, more sumo style. We're not going to get into that right now. I mean, the conventional deadlift would be just like we described it: feet, hips over the top, or maybe a switch grip, but pulling through, using the legs, pushing through the heels, coming up, locking through here, and getting tall, and then down slow. So, very good.